My Lords. My Lords, I feel as though I might lower the tone, especially after the contribution by the noble Lord Johnson of, I can't even say his name, Leyston speech. This is absolutely not my world. I'm much more on the kind of grubby, vaping, smoking side of the fence, to be honest with you. But it's also the case that the world of cigars and other tobacco products is also not the world of the nation's youth. There just isn't an epidemic of teenage pipe smoking that I'm aware of. I think these are amendments, though, are incredibly important to this bill. And they're incredibly important because they're all about evidence and the bill's attitude to evidence. I'm concerned that we don't have a situation where the word tobacco isn't used as a scare word that blinds us to facts, to medical science, to what actually is happening in terms of real harms and risks. And I think that the speech by the Noble Earl Lindsay really helped explain the distinction between cigarettes and vapes in terms of the consumer-based demographics, usage patterns and risk profile from these other tobacco products. And if you just lump them all into one, in a one-size-fits-all, then I think that we are going to behave in a disproportionate, unevidenced way, based, in fact, on a certain degree on prejudice. I also want to know if the Minister, the Noble Lady, the Minister, might explain whether there is new evidence to explain this new approach, because as the Noble Lady Baroness Hoey explained, previous legislation has successfully been used to differentiate the regulation of these particular tobacco products. And what's new that means that the government want to now treat them as though they're indistinct from anything else? And so it's an appeal to the Minister to add some nuance to the bill, because we really must stop conflating things that are not comparable. We should stop conflating tobacco with nicotine, as I've argued previously, and we must also stop conflating cigarettes with all these various tobacco products without differentiation. I actually put my name down to speak on Amendment 103 being moved by the Noble Lord Vesey, but the Noble Lord Vesey doesn't appear to be here to move that amendment, so I'm going to move it instead, very briefly, which is to say that it asks for evidence in relation to the potential harms posed by heated tobacco compared to cigarettes. This again is important to me because heated tobacco devices are being used by cigarette smokers to quit smoking cigarettes. And I think that it's perfectly proportionate and reasonable to ask for evidence as to whether they are any kind of significant harm, and so far the government hasn't come up with any, as to why they should be treated as though they are indistinguishable from cigarettes. So I think it speaks to a certain carelessness, if you want, about evidence, indeed a carelessness about liberty, that specific activities carried out by adults are all treated the same, just on the basis that a one-size-fits-all approach of public health means that we can all forget the details. But I think as scrutineers and legislators, we should never forget the details and think about the unintended consequences, regardless of what our attitude to fine cigar smoking is. That's irrelevant to why we should support these amendments.
Yeah.